Do you manage a sales team or an organization that has a sales team and you think to yourself, man, I just feel like with a couple of tweaks, we could just see so many more sales? Well, that's one of the most common questions that I get from managers is how can I make those small tweaks that are going to allow my sales team to sell significantly more? What we see is that high velocity sales teams are doing certain things just a little bit differently. It's not transformational, it's just a couple of key differences. So in this video, I'm going to show you sales management training, 9 keys to building a high velocity sales team. Check it out. Number 1, scalable offering. This is basically the starting point into actually building a high velocity sales organization in the first place. You must have an offering that's actually scalable, that there's a product market fit, people actually want or need what you have. So you're not just trying to jam something down people's throats, but there's really actually something there, and that you can scale this, because if you don't have the right offering for the right people, then trying to scale this thing is just going to be like building a house on a foundation made of clay. Right? We need to make sure that we have something in place that in some ways kind of sells itself. Now, obviously, if you're selling a service or something that's invisible, or maybe a product that's pretty commonly available, it may not be that you can just kind of throw it out into the market, but you need to do the legwork so that way your sales team is starting with an advantage. And that starts with that scalable offering. Number 2, career progression. This is one of the biggest mistakes that I see in organizations with sales teams all day long, is that they're going out and they're trying to just hire seasoned sales veterans, and they're just hiring these people to basically stay in this position for the rest of their lives. But the problem is A, it's really hard to find seasoned sales veterans that want to leave where they are, because if they were that good, why do they want to leave in the first place? And B, most people, particularly in the younger generations, want to see that career progression. They want to know that even if they start out lower, they want to see that they can achieve higher levels of success. And so creating a situation where you have real career progression, where someone can start out as, let's say, a business development rep, and then if they're successful in that role, then they can move on to an account executive, or basically the closer. And then from there, if they're really successful in that role, they can move on to sales manager, and so on, and director, and VP, or whatever it is. Creating that obvious career progression is going to allow you to really hire top performing talent at the lower levels. People who are more in that kind of sales entry level that can prove themselves, learn about your company, learn about your processes, and then develop into that high performing salesperson. Number 3, right people. This may sound obvious, but we need to have the right people in the right roles. Because I see sales managers and sales leaders all the time say, oh man, I just can't get my people to really close. And it's like, well, are they the right people in the first place? Maybe not. You need to have people that are athletes. We always think of this in terms of sports, right? If you want to field a team, you've got to start with people who are at least athletic. They don't have to be necessarily experts in the particular game you're playing, but you need to have people that are pretty athletic. And that's true of sales too. You've got to hire the right people who can grow into the position, but really have the potential, the eagerness, the drive, the will, all of that. And that starts again by having that career progression that you can show to those right people, and having a process for really hiring the right people consistently. Number 4, align incentives. So one of the biggest barriers to creating a truly high velocity sales team is that if we don't have a clear alignment of what the company wants to accomplish with what is going to reward the salesperson for their efforts, then we're not going to get there. So we want to have a situation where the compensation, and in particular the commission, is really rewarding the right behaviors. So that means if you want people to be creating their own leads, well, then we've got to incentivize people to do that. And so typically we're going to be breaking out teams and roles. So you've got the people that are more in the lead generation side, and they're going to be rewarded for setting appointments. And then you've got the account executives or the closers, and they're going to be incentivized to close deals, and so on. So by aligning the incentives appropriately, now we're making sure that even when people are working from home and you're not watching them every day, and you don't know what exactly the hours that they're working, you know that you have aligned incentives. So that way, if you've got the right person who's a go-getter, they're going to march forward. Number 5, lead gen. This may sound, again, pretty trite, but if we don't have a lead generation process in place, most sales teams really struggle. And so lead gen can be that you have a business development team that's their sole job is to basically schedule appointments for your closers. Or maybe you have just a really strong marketing group that can also schedule appointments for your closers. But what we don't typically want to do in today's world of selling is ask your closers to be generating their own leads. Now, they can be doing some things like leveraging referrals and introductions to get just a couple of extra appointments on top, or leveraging client relationships to get those extra appointments. But ultimately, you don't want to have your closers doing that cold prospecting because A, they're typically not very good at it, and B, they really don't want to do it. And what we want to do is make sure that they're doing what we actually want them to do, which is closing deals. So by having a strong lead gen process in place, the processes just work so much more smoothly. Number 6, sales process. So this goes back to having that career progression. Now, if you're hiring people that are super senior and they're coming in, they're going to bring their own sales process. But obviously, what that comes with is a lot of baggage. And so typically what we see with high velocity sales teams is that they're bringing in people who are relatively newer in their career, and then they're providing them with the sales process to follow. And so that way you can train them on the process that you want them to use. They're having the types of conversations that you want them to have. And ultimately, you're speaking with the same vocabulary. So when a sale doesn't go well, now we have the right vocabulary to really understand whether those salespeople did what they really should have done in any particular situation. And that all starts by really having an organizational sales process. Number 7, organized system. Now, this is pretty boring and not that fun, but I see sales organizations all the time are not really using their CRM system to the best of its ability, or they don't even use a CRM system that well, or maybe they have a bunch of Google Docs or Excel spreadsheets, or they're just using that CRM system, but just absolutely at a minimal level. We want to make sure that we're organizing all of these systems, and it's not just CRM, right? It's what are you using for your cold email outreach? What are you using for your phone systems? And how does that all organize into one smooth stack of technology that is allowing the salespeople to do as little operational and administrative work and really ultimately focused on what you want them to do, which is sell. Number 8, coaching. We all say, oh yeah, of course, well, we do lots of coaching. But what I find is that most sales managers and sales leaders do much less coaching than they really should. They get mired, just like salespeople do in the administrative stuff, so do the sales leaders and sales managers. They're doing so much more administrative stuff, and they're not really doing what actually matters, which is coaching. The number one activity that any sales manager can do is coach. If you are not consistently coaching your reps, then you're not really doing your job as a sales leader. And so that typically means using some certain technologies like obviously call recording or Zoom recording, or making sure that you're recording those sales interactions. And then you're taking your reps through a process of actually watching themselves on the tape. It reminds me of when I played college football, right? Our coach was literally taping the practices, and you would watch it right after you practiced. And then, you just kind of like take off a certain set and you dog it. And then the coach would say, well, what happened here, Wayshak? And the tape doesn't lie. When we're coaching to a call recording or to a Zoom recording, now we really have something to really see and help them develop and really create their own path for growth. Number 9, accountability. So this ties in a lot of what we've already talked in together. We want to have these processes in place so that way we can really hold our reps accountable to what we want them to do. So that means having the types of conversations that we want them to have, doing the type of sales activity that we want them to do, sending out enough proposals, or making sure they're moving people through the sales pipeline as quickly as they need to be going through, right? Having all of these systems in place and really having some metrics that we're holding people accountable to. Now, it actually, in a weird way, it takes a lot of pressure off the managers, because by just having the metrics in place, now the reporting basically does a lot of that accountability and management work for you, because we're not constantly checking in on what people are doing. It's already there. We can see exactly what's happening. So there is the sales management training, 9 keys to building a high velocity sales team. And if you enjoyed this video, they have an amazing free training on the step-by-step formula to closing more deals. Just click right here to get registered instantly. Seriously, just click right here. This is an in-depth training that will help you close more deals at higher prices, all while generating more meetings. Also, if you got some value, please like this video below on YouTube and be sure to subscribe by clicking my face, which should be right about here, to get access to a new video just like this one each week.